Hey guys, this is Thomas Brown, and welcome to the Thomas Vision Podcast. I'm a filmmaker currently based in Atlanta, and this podcast consists of conversations with the professionals I meet along the way. Thank you for tuning into the podcast, and if you watch this on YouTube, thank you for watching the video. I'm here with the great Jan Hill, event planner here in Atlanta, and we are going to talk about today how to work with and attract clients from different cultures, different backgrounds. So, Jan, how are you doing today?
Doing well. You keep saying the great.
And I'm well, like, you are. You're great to me. You're
thanks.
great to me. You're great to work with. Yeah.
That is really kind.
Have you gotten the opportunity to work with a lot of clients from different cultures?
I have.
Throughout the year?
I have. Throughout the years, I've done some Nigerian weddings, several of those actually, some Ghanaian weddings, some Asian weddings, Jewish weddings. Haven't done South Asian, Indian wedding yet, but would love that opportunity as well. But I have done quite a few.
Yeah, so for me, I have done African weddings from several cultures. I've done a few South Asian or Indian weddings. I've done a few Asian weddings when it comes to like Japanese or Chinese culture. No, actually not Japanese. Chinese or Korean cultures, and of course, American weddings for African Americans and white Americans as well. And even with those, they have a kind of different flow and a different culture to it, and so it's really interesting working. It really kind of spices up things when you get to work with different cultures.
It really does.
So I know a lot of people, especially with South Asian weddings. I'm not sure if you agree. Would you say that those are kind of maybe the hardest to kind of break into?
Probably.
Yeah, probably. For me, the way I got my first South Asian wedding is that I reached out to a planner who specialized in it, and I got my first Nigerian wedding. I reached out to a photographer who specialized in it. But since you're a planner, it maybe I'm just assuming, but a lot of people come to planners to get weddings. It must be hard sometimes for you guys because everyone's looking to you to give them work. How do you go out there and get clients from different backgrounds when you can't like reach out to another planner or anything like that to refer you?
Well, I mean, of course, you always have goals and different types of weddings that you want to do. I don't know that I've necessarily specifically marketed to a certain group or culture. I think no matter where you're from or what your culture is, that what you're attracted to is my brand and my style and everything. And then when you talk to me, we talk about, the culture and how ways to incorporate those things. For me, I think because I've done some Nigerian weddings, it takes one a lot of times. And next thing you know, I'm getting another referral for a Nigerian wedding or a Ghanaian wedding. And that's kind of how it's been in terms of me getting that business. But initially, it comes from them seeing my work or hearing from a vendor or a venue that's referring me based on what I've done in the past. And I don't know. I think that when it comes to really injecting culture and tradition into different weddings and events, there's ways to do that visually. But again, it's about the experience. So maybe one way of marketing to those groups is by showing, different setups or ways that you've inserted cultural traditions into an event. So that's one way of doing it.
And I will say, and I know we talked about this in another podcast, that research is definitely your friend. Once I did get my first South Asian wedding and a first Nigerian wedding, really research, not just showing up and just filming it, but
Right.
researching it and learning the different aspects of each part or
Yes.
each festivity.
Yes.
Like, the cola nut, ceremony.
Yes.
When clients ask me if I did a Nigerian wedding, or if I have done, when I'm able to say things like that and reference things to their culture, they feel a lot more comfortable.
Right.
Because first of all, they know I'm respectful.
Right.
Of their culture, but then I will understand what's going on, and I won't miss certain moments that I know will be important to them.
Right.
Now I will say, I actually just did a Nigerian wedding this past weekend, a 2-day Nigerian wedding. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, when you do, I've never done I've done a Jewish wedding, but I haven't done a bar mitzvah,
or bat mitzvah.
yeah. Yeah. So but for Nigerian weddings, typically a lot of them are 2 days. If they are 1 day, the longest one I've done was 16 hours, right? And I would not recommend it, because you are so sore the next day.
Actually, with some of the Nigerian weddings I've done, if they were being held on the same weekend, sometimes we'll try to put a day in between. I've done one.
I have to work with you.
It helps so
With
much.
those.
Just happened to be a holiday weekend, so we were able to have the traditional wedding on a Saturday, and then the white dress wedding was on a Monday. It was a holiday weekend, so that really worked out and gave people a day to recover, because, like you said, those events can go pretty long.
Yeah. I've always done them back to back.
Yeah,
always.
It's most convenient for people that are traveling from out of town to try to get it all done back to back, but it's a lot. It can definitely be a lot.
Now, when it comes to social media, I know you said that the best way to attract, clients from a different race is for them to, see you doing those events. But if you haven't done those events and you can't put those on social media, I think the next best thing for me, and I've done this several times before, I've went to South Asian wedding events. And so, where you set up a booth and you're a vendor.
Right.
And then I've, showed that on social media that I'm here at, event, trying. And then once people see that you're seeking to work with them, they will, start to reach out to you as well. So I actually didn't book not one client at the event that I went to. I did one in North Carolina. But I put that all over my social media that I was at the event, and I booked a client who's seen that I was at the event.
That saw that.
Yeah. So sometimes, it'll work out like that.
But then also letting people know, like you did before, letting people know what you're looking to do and the types of events that you want to have. There's nothing wrong with talking to your vendor partners or venues that maybe host a lot of a certain type of event that you would like to do. So letting people know what you're looking to do, and then letting them, hey, if you have someone that is doing this type of event, I would love to be able to be considered for that opportunity. Yeah. So putting it out there, definitely. And then what you said, posting on social media, that you're at certain types of events that are diverse. Like I want a diverse clientele. I've always had a diverse clientele, and I like to do different things. Sometimes when you're working with the same culture that has the same traditions, then you could be boxed into a planner that only does those types of events. So I like to make sure that my portfolio is diversified and that I'll attract people not only based on the cultural traditions and the things that they see, but just from my brand and my style, and see how those things can be incorporated, because we're on the same page in terms of style, but then incorporate those cultural traditions and things to make it interesting.
You mentioned, that you love having a diverse, portfolio of clients. So I think a lot of people may underestimate how important it is to get, I know it probably maybe sound old fashioned, but to keep your website updated so that you can show all of the different work that, you've done with different cultures. Right. What do you think about that?
I think that's very important. For me, I love weddings. That's not the only thing that I do. So, my first website, that's all you saw was weddings, but I've started incorporating other types of events that I'm doing. So it's important to keep all of that updated, but definitely also on your social media. But showing different cultures, and I need to do that. I just thought about it. I've got some other things that I could incorporate on my site to show things that we've done culturally. Maybe it's in the food. It's not always in the design, but maybe, you have a client that is from a different place that wants to incorporate something, so maybe we'll showcase the beef patties or something that's served during cocktail hour. I had some clients that were the bride was from Trinidad and the groom was from Jamaica. We had Blue Mountain coffee that was served in little bags for the guests to take away at the end of the night, so showing those types of things. I had my Asian clients that got married a few years back. Their favors were chopsticks, and they were displayed really beautifully for guests to take home. So there are different ways to incorporate culture that you can showcase online on your website as well as Instagram. And that's what I would definitely recommend.
Jan, for someone who's just listening for the first time, what's the kind of your favorite social media where you would like to be followed? Is it Instagram, Facebook?
Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram at j.hill.events. On Facebook, it's the same. And then my website is jhillevents.com.
Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed listening in today, consider subscribing to the podcast. See you next time.